She's the midnight mistress of fairies and dark mischief. He's the paranormal beacon of mystic fairs and government leaking. If the dark side had a prom, they would be the king and queen. They live the metaphysical and make a wicked awesome team. From every single culture in every corner of the globe, they creep the lore and legends just to keep you in the know. For some it's hyperbole, fantastical and myth. For them it's all too real and your paradigm will shift. It's forever Halloween with all treats and no tricks. He's got a thing for witches and she's all Stevie Nicks. So welcome to our carnival of the weird and the bizarre, where UFOs and curses take shape beneath the stars. Sit back, relax, open your mind and stay a few. It's time for John and Stacey, and do we have something for you? Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com.
Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are damn near melting away.
Yes, we are.
It's weird to be in Maine and have southern weather.
It's very warm.
It is pretty hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little bit 90 with a risk of 92. Mm-hmm. But it's weird up here because everything's so humid. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people I don't think understand is it's kind of like Florida. Mm-hmm. It's just all the water. And you know, we've talked about it before, like a lake for you, a lake for you. It's like Mother Nature's Oprah up here.
Right.
It's like you get a lake, you get a lake. It's really nice. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But you know what happens when it gets hot?
Gets all muggy.
Oh yeah. There's like pterodactyls flying around right now. They're like, you know, we're gonna sleep for a while. No, it's pretty crazy, but can't be complaining about this here in a couple of days.
Nope, we can be complaining about the heat somewhere else.
Yes, this is it. This is it. Goodbye, sayonara. So long. Thanks for playing. This is your consolation gift. We are gone. We are out of the Northeast, and it's sad. Mm-hmm. It is sad. We're going to miss you. We love you, but things move on, and I'm sure we'll be back around. And I would say the next move after the South will be the Southwest.
Probably.
Just taking a guess. Mm-hmm. It'll be either Southwest or Pacific Northwest, but it's going to be that coast.
It's going to be west instead of north, and we're done going north and south. Yeah, we need to go west.
Yeah, we need to go. I want to put my toes in the desert. It's something that would be new, and of course, I think it's really because of the stargazing.
Yes, big open skies.
Same reason I want to go to Iceland. Iceland is more for, say hi to the family and to look at the northern lights, which come from the hollow earth, by the way. They do not come from whatever they tell you. I don't care.
I'm sure there's a scientific
solar flare, schmoller schmare. It's coming from inside the hollow earth. I went down a hella hole.
Did you?
Not just a rabbit hole, a hella hole. So I'm just going to tell you guys, you need to, what happened is I had a weird dream, very weird dream, and I'm going to call it a dream because that's just nice. And in that dream, there was a lot of hollow earth stuff, very strange. There was like giants and reptilians, and maybe I watch too much of this stuff or we talk about this stuff too often.
I feel like you had the dream before you fell in the hole though.
No, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And then I looked for stuff and fell into a hole.
There you go.
So when I fell into this hole, I found some crazy documentaries, but they were crazy good and they were crazy sense. I mean, they really made sense. And it's like it tied together everything I talk about. Right. Everything.
And everything that was in your dream.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all there. It was all there. And so it's really interesting. It's interesting because it goes back to things like the national parks. I've always asked a question before I ever seen or heard of David Plaitis, okay, and anything about people missing from national parks. Before that was ever even in my vernacular, I would talk to Stacey years and years ago about, don't you think it's weird that national parks are where they are? Right. Like so who just came up with that? And she said, well, probably a governing body that decided, and that's Stacey, but she was trying to actually answer the question for me. But really she agreed with me. I bet there's a reason, because everything has a reason. When it comes to the government, they don't really do anything. even if they're giving you money, they're injecting money into you so you can spend it.
Right.
And because they know we all have problems. So they're like, here's $700. And you spend $900, right? Because that's just who we are as people, we're human beings.
Right.
Something I used to care a whole lot about was like, wow, this whole national park thing, why is it there? And then I was turned on to David Pilatus.
Right.
Then I got into the missing 411 stuff, and I was just like, holy cow, all these people are missing. All the from all these national parks everywhere, right? So that was freaky to me, and that was coupled, that's national parks. So that's weird. And then he always says, David Pilatus, he's always like, well, I don't want you to draw any conclusions here. I mean, I'm not saying what it is.
Right.
But it's obviously leaning heavily toward Bigfoot, right? So it's leaning heavily toward Bigfoot. I don't know. This dream that I had, which was a legitimate dream, and it put me down a rabbit hole at 5 a.m. And I remember I woke Stacey up, right? So Stacey's laying right beside me. And I just nudge her gently. No, I didn't nudge her gently. So I shake her violently and wake her up. And of course, the first instinct she has is like to reach for the Ruger and make sure somebody's not breaking in the house. So I'm asking her, she's like, what? She goes quickly from like shock and worried and scared, maybe somebody fell, died or something, and to anger. It goes into that, do you know how I take care of your children during the day kind of anger? And how dare you wake me up before I make sure you're awake? Really? Are you going to do that? So I wake her up and get all the anger out of the way. And then I'm like, you got it. I told her about the dream. I said, look, I had this dream. Oh my God, it's giants. I always used to talk about the giants, what happened to the giants. It's the mysterious booms. It's all this stuff. I mean, it's all these different things all together, and it's the hollow earth. And you know what? It kind of makes sense. And then I'm pulling up like satellite imagery. I'm like, show me the top of the world. Show me the bottom, without it being pixelated. Why do they not show us? And it's really strange. It's really messed up. Did you know about Mammoth Cave? I didn't know it was that big, So we go through this whole thing. And of course, I go through the 15 minutes of this conversation. I look over and her mouth is wide open. And she's completely asleep. And yeah, so that happened. And it was a huge rabbit hole. But, I've never poo-pooed the hollow earth theory.
No.
I never have, because I just don't know enough. And so I really went deep on this. And when you go deep on it, it is insane. I mean, it even goes back to the Children of Woolpit. When you go back to crazy legend lore stories where green kids came out of the earth, and talk about how they were in this twilight area. You go back to the people, some of the stuff that's coming out on, I mean, we're not political like that, or at least we don't throw our political views, but there's like a lot of hashtag, something or another with an anon at the end of it going around right now. And in those weird stories about the elite, they're talking about some stuff like cannibalism and weird things where people are taking children and all this stuff, right? Well, that all sounds like crazy caca mania until you start, looking at these stories and people talking about, well, the reptilians were feeding on people and they're really the ones running everything. It's stuff that I have actually laughed in people's faces. I have had guests on the show that I had to mute because I was just like, can you believe they're talking about this to Stacey? And we never, we make a big rule not to make fun of people, but it's still, sometimes you get your mind blown.
Right.
Right. It happens. So anyway, this thing really was crazy that it came from a dream like that and took me down this rabbit hole. And then the videos that I watched really corresponded with the dream. So we share everything with you guys. I thought that was something that should be shared. I kind of went back and forth on it, but everybody knows that we research stuff all the time, as a lot of you do. So this is just probably, you could look at one of two ways. Way number one, we do read this stuff all the time. We research this stuff all the time. So it's bound to happen to bleed into our dreams.
Right.
Okay? There's a good chance that I could have had YouTube playing one night.
Right, while you were sleeping.
Had that documentary completely play, heard all of it, and then dreamt it.
I mean, it's possible. I know sometimes we can go through your history because you leave YouTube playing and it just goes from video to video.
Yeah.
And there's some crazy stuff that plays
right.
while we're sleeping.
Yeah. And then number 2, the dream was supposed to happen.
Right.
And was probably going to lead me to these things, which was important, for me to know for whatever reason.
Right. Right.
Very strange. Either way, I'm glad that it happened because I enjoyed finding out a lot about that. And it just goes, we were thinking about changing up the format. This will be the last show from the North.
Right.
The last show from New England. And we've been hitting a lot of our old spots and all this before we leave. So the next time you guys hear from us, you're going to hear from us from the South, from the good old haunted South. And of course, it'll still be a Paranormal Sideshow, but we'll just be coming to you from the South with a new intro. And we're looking at doing some different format type changes. So some of the things we're looking at is occasionally having a guest. We're really, not more than looking at that. That's going to happen. So we're looking at occasionally having a guest, and we're also looking at bringing back the main attraction. Just because, we were already thinking about it, and then it got pushed over with from awesome Sideshow off and Patreon member, also a really cool guy, Jeff Carter. So Jeff, hi Jeff. He was actually, he contacted us and he was, talking about the main attraction. He's like, hey, I really like the main attraction. I really like when you guys were talking about this, talk about that. It's weird. We were just talking about that. So there you go, Jeff. You're a psychic. Congratulations. Now you know. Yeah. But it's just irony. It's a lot of irony. Of course, I don't believe in
coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. At all. So I think it's a good idea, and we're not going to do that every week, right? Perfect world, and we could do the interview and then do a main attraction, right? I don't know. Maybe it's something extra for Patreon content. Maybe we'll start doing some interview shows only for you guys. Let us know. Let us know what you want to hear. It's your show as much as it is ours. We'll sit here and talk about tiddlywinks if that's what you want. We care about what you want. So let us know what it is you want more of, what you want less of. If we don't like it, we'll just ignore it and act like we didn't see it. So it's a pretty simple relationship. In fact, it's the best kind of relationship when that can happen. And so that's why you have to turn your iPhone to do not show red. Do not show read receipt. That way they have to keep wondering, did they see it? Did they not? Because as soon as your little icon of your face jumps down on the thing, you're like, you're screwed, because they know already. So, something cool, man, where I'm leaving up here and going to the South. I've been blowing people's minds. I'm probably not going to see these people for a while. Right. Okay. Right. So I'm going around telling everybody bye. And I'm having a lot of fun because there's not a lot of people out there. Now, I'm not saying I've done anything where people just know who I am. Right. Okay. Right. That's not the case. You have to be in a certain niche. If you're into paranormal podcast with a tinge of comedy and a hot wife, then you damn well should know who I am. All right. If you listened to metal in the late 90s, early 2000s in a specific Tri-Cities region of East Tennessee and happened to go to like really bad dive clubs, you would know who I was from that. Right. If you were into pro wrestling for about a decade and you watched a local television show in East Tennessee, in Kentucky, West Virginia, you would know who I am from that because it, had done that. And if you're into to the paranormal documentaries, you met me and Stacey at Scarefest, God knows. There's little niches here, there, but there's not that many people who have done all those things. Right. there's not that many crazy people who are also executives. Okay. You got to be able to turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. I think it all helps me do what I do in the job because I have so many different facets and so many different hats I have to wear.
Right.
So, I'm a regional manager. Legitimately, I'm a district manager. It's easier for people that aren't in the biz to say region, I've got a region or whatever. So I'm a district manager, district leader, whatever you want to call it. It covers a pretty good little chunk of area, right? And especially in the state I'm in right now, I cover half the state. So, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy what I do, but I have a lot of great people that I feel like that I've picked some good people and molded, made better leaders. I really enjoy that. That's a big part of my life is doing that leadership role and teaching people and helping people and learning from them as well. But during that course, I don't put myself out there for friendship that much. That's just not the way I handle my professional relationships. I have a professional relationship. I might joke sometimes, but there's still just only so much information you get to know.
Right.
And I think that's the way most people are. So on my farewell tour that I've been doing, I've had a little bit of fun, and I've been showing people some of the paranormal stuff. I've been showing people some of the pro wrestling stuff, and I've been playing them some music.
Just letting it all out, huh?
And then when they go, "Is that you?" I then show them like a YouTube video of me singing. And what's really funny is I have this album from 2002. And I have all that where I can actually share it and give it to people. And then there was an album in like 2004 or 5 that was fantastic. It was just amazing. Then I had a little tiss with the producer, and I don't have that album. It's like if you ever seen Eddie and the Cruisers, I think it's Eddie and the Cruisers. Yeah, it's the first one. They keep talking about this lost recording they have, and they call it A Season in Hell. So that's what I call that album, because that album's out there somewhere.
Right.
This guy,
somebody has
this producer that I paid to produce this was such an asswipe that I know he has it somewhere and probably sits in the bathroom and just, whatever he might do by himself with his favorite relaxation method in the bathroom. This dude would totally listen to this in the bathroom and be like, "Oh yeah, that would have been good out in the public, wouldn't it, Edwards?" It's that kind of it's that level of weirdness. But anyway, going around to these stores, and I haven't done it with everybody, obviously, and I don't want to take away from their work day, obviously.
Right.
But if I'm in the office or I'm back in the back with one of them, I'm like, "Hey, since I'm leaving, let me show you something." And I show them the first thing, and I'm actually ending with the music, and I show the next thing, and they're already mind blown, right? I'll show them. I even showed one of them like me on Ghost Brothers last year. Right. Like, "Oh my God, how did you even do that?" And I was like, "I have vacations,
Right.
So we go through all that, but every time I get to the music is the funny thing, because I was never so proud of my music. I just wasn't. I always, because I did other music that you guys didn't, that people didn't hear, that really rocked out loud. Like I was in like an Aerosmith sounding thing and all this stuff. So, but anyway, I've been playing this music and everybody who's heard it is like, "Oh wow, that's really good." And they're all pissing me off so bad. I love them though, but they all sit there and just, because years ago people were like, "Oh yeah, you sound like Clutch," and I love Clutch. Like Clutch is like one of my go-to bands when I'm feeling bad. So what's been happening though, they're all doing the same thing, and it's driving me insane. So I've had 4 people sit there and go, oh, wow, that's really good. That's you? Oh wow, sounds like Godsmack. And every time I just like break the pen that's in my hand, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, thank you. Sounds like Godsmack. That's awesome. Let me tell you something, people. All right, the last thing your girlfriend wants to hear is how hot she is because she looks like freaking somebody else. Okay, it's the last thing that they want to hear. Do you know why I know? Let me tell you why I know. Because when I did develop sensitive things with ESP, okay, a lot of things that I said through the years to my wife, I had never known the level of depravity that was actually was. So I remember crystal clear, and I've never said this to her. It was around 2010, 2011, and this is when the voices first started. It was when this stuff first started going on. We were hanging out, and I was just like, God, you're so hot. And we were watching Charmed, and I was like, you look just like Alyssa Milano. And I wanted to have hashtag Mommy Daddy time like right after that. It was just a coincidence, but it was like all over her face and her mind actually. So you know what she reminds me of you is not a good line. It's kind of like that line where you got caught cheating. You know, it's just like she comes in the room, you're on the webcam and you're not talking about politics. You know, and it's just like, she looks just like you. She really reminds me of you. But yeah, that's just a little thing. I've had a lot of fun with that with people, and the really fun thing has been just blowing their minds. Like one of my favorites, and I can't say names because then another one's going to be like, oh, I'm not your favorite.
Right.
But one of my favorites, I was with him today. And
that kind of narrows it down right there.
And I was so professional always with our relationship, and we had ups, downs, canyons, peaks, valleys, all that stuff. But he's just become just amazing, and his business acumen is just through the roof, and he makes me so proud. So I took him outside, and I was just like, here you go, and I would just his face was just like, because he had trouble. He's like, he had to have visual proof.
Right.
He's like, that's you? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I still can't get it. I still can't imagine. But yeah, it's a lot of fun sometimes when you do a lot of crazy stuff. You know, it's funny because you don't think about how weird you've done all that. Right. So one of the ways that we think about how much we've done is Stacey and I. Now, we've been hinting around to a big project that we've been doing. We've been hinting around to this for 2 years because we've been doing a big project for 2 years. All right, this isn't what this is. All right, I'm getting ready to tell you guys something cool. And I'm not going to hark on it all the time because, you know what, it's still going to be a minute before you see it. So I'm going to talk about it because you're our family and we love all of you. And, you know, so it always feels like we're just chatting with you on the phone. So there is a huge project out there that we are still working on that is not this. But with that said, we've been rehashing some old thoughts and old memories of late because Stacey and I have written a book. And we've talked about the book before. We've talked about the book back on Haunted South. But the book is being published.
Yes, it is.
And I can tell you guys because I signed the papers, and it's being published. I'm not going to tell you a title. I can't tell you any of that stuff. I can't tell you what's in the book. There are ramifications to all this, but I can tell you that there's a book, and it's the book. It's the book that has been added to and changed around and rewritten and all this stuff.
Worked on.
But you know what? It is complete. And we actually are doing our final chapter right now because we had it completed, but we decided to add a chapter.
Yes.
So
the further it goes on, you know, the more things we just want to add in there.
Yeah, we just want to add stuff in there, and but yeah, it's really exciting, and we are stoked. We are very, very excited. Can't wait to bring this to you guys, and it's a done deal. It is a done deal. So it will be coming out. I can't give you a timeline. I have no idea. Stacey has no idea. So as soon as we find out, you know, we'll definitely let you guys know. But man, we are so excited. We are so excited to share that with you. And we've been working on it for so long. And there's been a lot of long sleepless nights where we've written the book, you know, and we had to go back through a lot of old stuff to, get some stuff right and be able make sure that we're making fun of the right people and all that stuff.
Right. Don't want to get that wrong.
So yeah, the book's called #MommyDaddyTime, and
yes, complete with pictures.
It's like Kama Sutra for the paranormal, and
no, it isn't.
It's Kama Spectra. But no, it's we're real excited, and you know what? It felt good to tell you. It felt good to tell everyone. But yes, it's done deal. It's signed. Very excited, and just about as excited as I am for ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything book. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. A book. On the Twitter, it's @Sideshow97. There's not enough room for a book. On Instagram, Hot Book Damage, John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube.com, search Paranormal Sideshow. Now, actually, none of these things are going to have anything about the book because we can't tell you anything about the book yet, except there's a book, and the book's going to be a cool book, and it's going to be coming your way with other books because books just do that.
They do.
And if you want to support your favorite paranormal show, please don't, and instead support us. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Patreon.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Pick what level of sideshow off you want to be and get some of the cool swag that you can get from us, because there's some cool things there.
There are.
And you know what? And they're just going to get cooler. I foresee another level coming with a little book. The book. Oh my God, are we gonna push the book? You guys just wait. I can't wait, man. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, go check out our stuff. Become a valued patron today, and you'll get maybe we'll give you
cool stuff.
Some late night phone calls or something. It's just like that's a new level. Like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? I heard that you called Ed. Anyway. With that, I know it was a little bit long, but we're probably going to be about a week and a half or so before we come back to you guys.
Yes.
Because we are moving
quite a way.
We're moving over 1,000 miles, and we are moving 17 hours. So it's a lot to do. And so it's going to take us a second to get the studio back together when we get to our new place. So it may be a week and a half. We're going to try to make it as quick as possible.
Yes, but there'll still be, for the patrons that do the $5 level, you'll still get the back catalog episodes. They'll still continue to be uploaded regularly.
Absolutely.
So you can just get your fill of those.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go back and listen to a little bit of the haunted sound. But I tell you what, I think it's just about time for some paranormal news.
All right, so let's get to the news. Okay, so this first story is really, really interesting, and it's from Egypt, because we haven't been having stories from Egypt a lot. And this is actually a story about some theoretical research that an international team of physicists have done recently and published, and they say that they have discovered that the Great Pyramid of Giza can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers and under its base.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Now, it is theoretical research, but they feel like that they can possibly replicate this, and that it would explain, one of the possible purposes of the pyramids.
That's something that's been part of the ancient astronaut theory forever.
Yes, that the pyramids are actually some kind of free energy.
Yeah, like free energy, like some kind of Tesla type stuff.
Right. Well, it does say in this article that they feel like the ancient Egyptians probably weren't aware of this little design quirk, that it was probably just coincidence or happenstance that it's that way. But I don't know if I believe that.
They have to put that in there. I mean, that's just the thing.
They have to say that?
Yeah, they have to say that. It's kind of like, I think I got the chlamydia from the tanning bed.
The toilet seat.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have sat on that public toilet seat.
I don't know how that happened. I've only been with you.
I got the crabs from the beach, I swear.
Yeah.
So it does say in here, one of the researchers did say that they had to use some assumptions about the pyramid, like that there weren't a lot of extra chambers and that it was solid limestone in certain places and things like that. But that they feel like...
That's why there's letters in math.
They feel like they can use this for a practical purpose, like that they can use it to make a smaller version of it for power cells, things like that, and can really use this technology to, to advance different nano sensors.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very cool. It's an awesome story. And I think it's interesting that...
Well, I mean, it's more than cool. You go back to stuff like the Baghdad battery. You go back to, the light bulbs that we found in art and some of the other, drawings that we've seen in some of the glyphs. It's really pointed to there being some kind of electricity, some kind of power source in Egypt, and a lot of the ancient world. And then I know they don't all look the same, but the fact of the pyramids all over the world, right? When these continents did not talk, when they did not have conversations, there's a lot of things that are even hidden. I mean, you have to look deep to see how weird some of this is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that they try to push that narrative that, it's a tomb and it was like Khufu and all that. But, there isn't really any evidence to support, that line of thinking.
Yeah, there's not.
So I don't know. I think this is cool. And I hope that this is something that they can recreate in a lab, to kind of prove that is a possibility.
There's been UFOs that have been seen that are pyramids. That's always been interesting to me. Yes. And on a lot of UFOs that were even disc UFOs, you go back to even Rendlesham, okay? There was glyphs. There was hieroglyphics. Right. And a lot of times people talk about this, there was this strange hieroglyphics, and that's always, whenever I hear weird things happen, there's a lot of hieroglyphics involved. So it's just really cool to me. Look at the Grand Canyon even, they find the Egyptian things there. And it's really weird. It is all connected in some way. I think that the energy, we know that there was, well, we don't know because they won't tell us this, but people like we believe that there was a time before time. Right. And probably a time before that. Right. And there was some certain cataclysms or whatever that may have happened, but that we were at a higher level possibly. Right. Because even if you just look at how old the earth is and look at how far we've come in the time that they think that we've been human beings or whatever. Okay, you take that time period that human beings have been around, okay? And then look at the age of the earth. All right. If all the ingredients to create intelligent life or to create life are here, okay, they've always been here. Right. I mean, let's just do some real math. And this is not where we intended this story to go. Right. But this is how we roll. Exactly. We just go with the flow. Exactly. So the oldest, I mean, we're not talking Sumerians and we're not talking about ancient tablets or even, like cool little dig sites we found that are, probably 10,000 years old. And there's a lot of theory that, at 10,000 BC or whatever, there was the flood. And so we don't know. Right. We don't know. But taking all that out of account, the oldest, like somewhat human skeletons or whatever, roundabout how old? I don't know, like 200,000. Right. Yeah, like 200,000 years, and that's being nice. That's a long time. It is, because we only really know stuff from about last week. Right. It seems like most of it's theory, and but we do have written accounts and whatnot, and that goes back where I trust it about 500 years. Before then, I have a little bit more trouble trusting it because history is written by the victors. Right. But let's just say you can go back 2,000 years. Let's go biblical with it and just say for the 2,000 years minus the Dark Ages, because they're the Dark Ages. And if you don't understand why that's the Dark Ages, then go look it up. It'll be like a very astonishing moment. But, you take that time in there and let's make this very simple. Let's just say humanity in some form, shape, or another has been around for 200,000 years. And we've gotten in 200,000 years to the point we're at now. Right? We're pretty pretentious. We think we're probably as smart as anybody could ever be. Right. We have these incredible iPhones. We have computers everywhere. We're making AI. We're making life. We're to the point that we're making our own life force.
Right.
We're exploring. They're starting to explore the galaxy. We're starting to understand things better. That kind of thing. All right. Take that thought and then think about the age of the Earth. Okay. The age of this planet that has always had the building blocks for life. The age of this Earth is 4.5 billion years, roundabout.
Right.
So 4.5 billion years.
Right.
If you take that 200,000 off of that, you're still looking at like 4.4 something. Okay.
You're still looking at 4.5 billion years.
That we don't know about.
Right.
That we have no clue about. We don't have a clue about the stuff that happened supposedly 200,000 years ago. It's just that we find evidence, pointing to this.
Yeah.
Now, sometime, we know that there's dinosaurs and we go back 65 million. We give them that. We go back millions, even 100 million. Oh my God, that's 100 million. We're talking 4.5 billion. Okay. We don't know what happened. We don't know how it happened.
Right.
We don't know what's buried.
No. Well, anything that long ago, there's not going to be a trace of it. There's not going to be remains. There's not going to be things to find.
But something did happen.
Right.
And there is things that happened. And there's a lot of evidence that points to there was once a great intelligence. Now, let's just imagine this. Let's imagine there is cataclysms that come. And of course there is. Of course there is. Of course there's these great floods or asteroids or whatever. Look at some of the things that happen and almost wipe us out overnight as it is. Okay? Right now, if our power grid went down, we would lose probably a third of the population because nobody knows how to make anything for themselves anymore. Right. Especially in the hot summer. You didn't have air. You didn't know how to go make a shelter. You didn't know how to go get food. You're going to lose a lot of people. You're going to lose elderly. You're going to lose people that are out by themselves somewhere that have no help.
Right.
Okay. It's just going to happen. So a major cataclysm, because I wouldn't consider that a major cataclysm. That's a cataclysm. We should say shame on you for not being prepared.
Right.
For letting us get to where we've got. But a major cataclysm, you're going to lose a lot of people, man. Just imagine that they went, let's say, 1 billion years. Imagine that they went 1 billion out of those 4.4 billion that we don't know about. Let's just imagine they went 1 billion years without any cataclysm. They went 1 billion years without any major wars with one another. Okay? They might have had some crazy stuff going on with the Earth. There might have been some weird heat, some big, monsters, whatever. But they went 1 billion years without any problem. During that time period, they had ways of energy. They had ways to do things because we're human beings, and what we do is we try to evolve. I'm a better human being than I was 10 years ago, without a doubt. And that version of me was better than I was 10 years before that. And by better, I mean more educated. I am wiser to the world. Right. I am not as
more experienced.
I'm not as easily fooled. I have become a nicer person. I care about people more. I understand what's important. That's evolution. Okay, that to me, we always are changing. I just think that human beings, no matter what era they were in, even somewhat like humans, would find a way. They would seek to make things better. In seeking to make things better, I believe that they would absolutely find some kind of energy. Maybe they were visited. I mean, we're talking billions of years. We could totally have been visited by people, or we can be an alien race ourselves that was escaping cataclysm. Right. We could just like a lot of people think. This is not our thesis at all, but a lot of people think we might have came from Mars. Right. And there's a lot of evidence that points to there being destruction in the universe and asteroid belt and
right. And you're even talking about a time period where we could have been visited here by another race that no longer exists. Yep. I mean, billions of years. Absolutely. So, of course, we didn't find them because maybe they have already petered themselves out.
Yeah, and obviously, we are just giving you nothing but asking questions and theories and make it think. But I guess we just want you to stop and think. And in our pre-show meeting, which we always have. We don't get, she never gives me the stories like per se, but sometimes we'll talk a little bit about what it might be. And this is something that just came up, and it's just really, mind boggling when we think about how long the earth's actually been here and what could have been here on the earth that we have no clue about. Okay.
Right.
So it's very cool. And with the whole hollow earth thing we started off with today, it's just an interesting thing. Whenever we find out something like in theoretical science, people can say, well, that's just a theory. That's how it all starts, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
It always starts with theoretical science. And that's why.
Well, I love this research because, it's talking about how the pyramid can concentrate all that electromagnetic energy, which we already know is everywhere anyway. Yeah. So if that is something that can be done and, used, wow, how useful is that going to be?
Very. I mean, undoubtedly, well, they say that there was free energy that, and I go back to Tesla again.
Right.
Right after his death, as soon as it happened, they stole a lot of his so a lot of his research, right? So there's theories out there that people have figured this stuff out before. I've even heard of people that have come up with engines that run on water and very well efficiently, and people call them and threaten their lives or whatever.
Right, because of oil and
because of just like
big corporations,
big pharma, big oil, all that stuff that rules the world. The reptilians.
Right.
So it's just something to ponder on, to think about. And you know what? We want to know, what do you think? What's your opinion of this? Love to hear your opinions on this. And a lot of you, thank you so much for always engaging with us and sending that stuff in. But yeah, what's your opinion on all this? We'd like to hear it.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next story. And this is a story about the video that went viral with the interview with Buzz Aldrin. Now, I know that you've seen this.
I have.
And this is the interview where, the viral video claims that Buzz Aldrin admitted to a young girl that we never actually went to the moon. And there's a clip that you can watch, and I'll link to the place where the clip is. And the clip's like a minute long.
Right.
Or something like that. So in doing some research about this, I did find this other article, and I did find the full interview with this girl and Buzz Aldrin. Now, the full interview is like 17 and a half minutes long.
I watched the whole thing.
It is a very long interview. He's so funny with that little girl. Yeah. She's so cute. And this was actually an interview that was taken back in 2015 for the National Book Fest. And the little girl just, was asking him different questions and, trying to, I guess it was for their...
How are you still alive? Do you start to smell when you rot?
It was so Buzz Aldrin could promote his book, Welcome to Mars. That was the point of the book fest. So I'm
just laughing because little kids ask stuff like that.
They do. In the viral video, she asked him, she said, why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time? So what Buzz Aldrin says in this viral video is he said that, he's claiming that wasn't an 8-year-old's question, that it was very, making it sound like it was a very important grown-up question that she was asking. And he's saying, I want to know. And he says, but I think I know because we didn't go there. That's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we know why something stopped so we can keep it going. Now, it's a very confusing answer.
Yeah.
That wasn't exactly word for word.
No, it was pretty close.
The first thing that he said was because we didn't go there. Yeah. That was the first sentence.
Right.
Now, if you watch the full interview, there's actually more to his answer, but that's where the viral video cut off right after that.
Right.
But right after that, he actually continues and claims that the reason they didn't go back is because of money and because that they felt like they had accomplished what they were trying to do. And, a couple other things he just went on to say. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you have to try and decide what you think he really meant, because it could go two ways. One, he said it and then immediately realized that he should not have said that and then stumbled around with his answer to try and cover it up. That's one theory. Another theory is that if you take the whole answer together, he's actually saying that he's not saying that they didn't go there. He's saying that they didn't go back. It just came out a little confusing.
Well, I would like to call it a Freudian slip.
Right.
Being an unintentional error regarded as revealing subconscious feelings.
Right.
I you know what? I've watched it over and over and over. I hate when people take a word out of context.
Right.
I hate when people take a line out of context and make everything about it. Do I believe that Buzz Aldrin hid disclosure talking to an 8-year-old girl in 2015? You know what? If I wanted to say it, if I just wanted people to know, because I've been hiding a lie for most of my life, and I just wanted people to know in front of a camera, because I just figured someday somebody would, Ready Player One, go back and watch the films of my life.
Right.
I maybe do that. I would maybe hide it on stuff like PBS NewsHour and, things that people are never going to watch.
Right.
And that's one of these things. It took from 2015 to 2018 for somebody to watch that.
Yeah, to even notice it.
And why would somebody even have been watching that?
Right.
That's funny. I mean, I guess somebody was like doing some research on Buzz.
Right.
And they were maybe watching this, or maybe that little girl had gotten a little older. If she's a smart
girl.
Yeah, smart little girl. She's going back. She's like, oh, holy balls, and she puts it out.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't think, all kidding aside, as much as I think that a lot of it is caca, I do not think that's what he meant. You don't think
that he meant that we didn't go?
I don't think he meant that. I don't even. I'm joking about the Freudian slip. It does seem like, a perfect time for something like that to happen. But because he went on with it and answered it, I don't think that's what he meant to say.
No, if you listen to the entire answer all together, it doesn't seem like he's trying to say that we didn't go to the moon. It does seem like he's trying to answer her question and give logical reasons. I mean, it could just be that he doesn't know why we didn't go back and was trying to come up with it. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'll link to the full video, to the full long interview. You have to really watch it and listen, decide what you think he meant. I feel like if that was a secret that he was keeping and he kept it this long, he wouldn't reveal it now.
I do. I mean, I do disagree with you on that. I do think that getting close, to death.
Like a deathbed confession.
Damn right. People do it all the time.
He's getting older.
People do deathbed confessions all the time.
That's true.
It's happened about every conspiracy out there. It's just a lot of times people don't listen to them. People are like, oh, that guy was crazy. He had dementia.
Right.
There's always these handlers. There's always these people that come out and that's just what they do, is they spread the disinfo. They're like, oh, hey, Harry's getting ready to die. You think he's going to say something about, yep, he did it.
What's he got to lose now?
Then they go on the news and they're just like, well, Harry was a moron. And last few years, his brain was mush. He watched the X-Files last night and then said that. We don't know what he's talking about.
Right. Well, I mean, he very well could have said it, and then just, like I said, it does sound like the way he answers the question and the way the wording is so confusing, it does sound like he said it, realized he said it, or did it purposely, and then tried to say a bunch of things to cover it up. Like he was thinking off the top of his head really quick, what can I say to make this not sound like what it just sounded like?
Good point, because he did say it, and then he played Babbly Bunny there.
Yeah, for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And it was very much like somebody trying to rapidly... It sounded
like when I do a joke about when I'm doing because I'd say something like, yeah, she was high, beer bong, ding dak.
Right, and then trying to find a way to cover that up to make it okay. It did sound a lot like that, so...
Yeah, well, you know what? I've had emails from listeners who have sent that story because they were intrigued by that story, and they've had it both ways. I've had some that are just like, "This is crazy, man," and then others that are like, "What do you think?" So it's really the jury's out. You make a valid point. You do. You make a valid point of that sound. That does sound like someone trying to cover something up after they accidentally Freudian slip.
Right.
It's a real thing. I do Freudian slips quite a bit. Quite a bit. So it's a real thing. I mean, when you're suppressing such a major piece of everything that it is that makes us human, that came at a time when our country needed a lift. And we needed to beat the Russians, who had already beat us to orbit. and it was all, perfect timing for that to happen. And for us to be able to do all the stuff that we did then and not have, supposedly lose the telemetry and not know how to get there now, that be the answer. I know they're planning moon trips, okay? So shut up. I know that. But in the last few years, that's been the answer. It's like, we don't even know how to get back.
I just don't buy that.
I mean, you go look it up for yourself. Okay, you don't have to listen to me. Go look it up for yourself. Just type into your Google machine, we don't know how to get back. Okay, to the moon. And watch the videos that pop up with the actual guys at NASA or at Goddard Space
My
or
favorite,
something going, don't know.
My favorite are the guys that claim that technology just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's like they taped over.
Like we went backwards in time or something.
Like something happened and they're just like, like they...
Oh, whoops, we hit a race. Oh, crap.
It's like there's a Joe Theismann game from like 82 on there. Jeez, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we don't have one of those printers with the paper with the holes in the edges anymore. We can't go to the moon. I'm sorry.
The 9-pin.
I can't remember what they're called. I hated those things. You could never line them up just right.
Those dot matrix.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was the 9-pin. I remember. Oh my God. I remember when I got excited because there was a 24-pin come out.
Right.
And that was, my God, that was a Cadillac.
I could just imagine you always had to have the top pin printer.
Oh yeah.
I know that's how you are.
Whatever the hot pen was at the time. So it was 9-pin was the worst. It was like was it 9, 15, and 24? I know 24 was after 24 is when they got inkjet.
Right.
And it just blew my mind.
I mean, you basically had to be a rocket scientist to load the paper in those stupid pen printers.
I basically was. So my favorite thing on old computers, you get like the old 286, 486 DX. No matter which one it was around that time. I remember when the Pentium first came, which was the 586, but that was going to be the fastest computer of all time.
Right.
It will never get faster. But my favorite part on all those was that golf game.
Right.
There was a golf game that was loaded up on those old computers that would just show each hole.
Right.
And it would be like the over top view. And you hit the button and the little...
the little lever would go back and forth.
And you try to get it just right.
Simplicity, that's the name of the game.
I love that game so much. I desire that game. That
Right.
stupid preloaded game of golf.
Right.
I would play that for freaking hours. What's your favorite preloaded computer game ever?
I don't know. See, I remember when I was in school, and my school that I went to, my elementary school, it was small, and they got an Apple computer. We had one in the whole school, and it was in the library, and you could go and get permission to sit down at the Apple computer, and it would load up this thing where it taught you how to kind of use it.
Yeah.
But it was like for kids, and I loved doing it. I would go like all the time. I'd be like, can I play on the computer? And and there was like a game where you touch the apple to make the apple fall in or not. I mean, just silly things. But I loved that thing. It was great.
We had a book when we got our first home computer. And we had this book, and it had programs in it, programming. So I remember sitting there and going pages of programming to make a balloon go up the screen.
Oh, yeah. We had one of those at the house where you just hooked it to a regular TV, and it was just a little keyboard, and you'd have to... And I was actually... surprise, I'm really good at that. And I even took, we went to school at a time where, it was all just new stuff, and you had to take the computer programming class, in school, and we'd have to write programs to do different things, and I was always good at it. Like, I was always great at doing the lines and figuring out how to do it.
Yeah, you've done a lot of that for us over the years.
And I absolutely loved it. It kind of makes me sad that, younger kids don't know that struggle of no computers than having computers. Like all the kids that are young now, they already have all this technology, and they'll never have to learn that. I don't know. It was so cool watching it all unfold.
It's funny how the world moves on, right? And how your problems become different problems than they were 5 years ago.
Right.
Do you know what the biggest problem in my world right now is? Now this sounds really stupid.
What is that?
And it's not really a problem, but the thing that's plaguing me right now in my mind.
What's that?
Is we're getting ready to move, and I'm going to lose all this stuff on my DVR I haven't watched yet, and I don't physically have time to watch it. And it's really bugging me because I truly want to watch what's on there.
Well, at least a lot of those things are episodes that we can buy on like Xbox or something.
Yeah, it is. But
I mean, I know you wouldn't have to buy them if you watch them here, but
I know, but especially the paranormal, the main paranormal one, I have a lot of episodes of. I really want to watch that.
Right.
And I just haven't had a chance.
You're not gonna have a chance either, I don't think.
And I'm not gonna have a chance to do that. So yeah, it's funny how first world problems, right?
Right.
You look at that, but hey, you know what? That's something else I want to know. What was your favorite out there? What was you guys' favorite computer game that was preloaded on the computer? What did you like to play? Did you like to play chess? Did you like to play Minesweep? You know, I think Stacey likes Minesweeper.
I like Minesweeper. I still like it. Like, I think you can still find it on there and play it. I love Minesweeper.
I like old school. I don't like fancy Tetris.
Right.
I like old school, normal, plain Jane.
Original Game Boy Tetris.
It's kind of like Pac-Man. I like original Pac-Man and maybe Miss Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man's fine. Miss Pac-Man's probably better.
Right.
It probably is. But I don't like any of the, Pac-Mania or whatever.
Pac-Man 3D.
Yeah.
No.
No. Just give me Pac-Man.
Right.
And it's funny, speaking of computer games, because Stacey and I actually do love computer games, and we're looking way forward to Red Dead Redemption 2 and Last of Us 2 and all this stuff. But Stacey's favorite game from when she was a little girl, you can never find it on any of these throwbacks. I think it's because of a licensing deal, because it should have been licensed through DC Comics. I can only imagine that's the reason. But she had an Atari. Was it 2600 maybe?
Yeah, it's like a old one.
But it was the Superman game. And undoubtedly it was the simplest game in the world, but she has these wonderful memories of playing that game
for hours and hours. I knew how to beat it, and I would just get on there and just do it, but then I'd do it again and then do it again. I don't even know why. It was so crazy. Something satisfying about it.
Yeah, I think my favorite one when I was a kid was a game called Pro Wrestling, and I like tag team wrestling. Surprise, right? I used to love those. I mean, I like The Legend of Zelda. There was so many. Who doesn't like Mario? There was a lot of fun stuff. But I had that. I had Sega. Man, I really miss all that. But anyway, moving on.
Right. Moving on to our next story. So this is sort of just a little bit of an update, and this is about the Space Force. We've been talking about how Trump's wanted the Space Force. And so the details that have come out now are saying that the Pentagon has reportedly started to create it, even before getting the congressional approval. There's like 4 things that have to be done, and they're already doing 3 of them. You're sort of preparing for getting the approval for the 4th part. So far, they have made a new combatant command for space, a new joint agency to buy satellites for the military, and a new warfighting community that draws space operators from all service branches. The only thing that they haven't been able to do, and that they can't do until they have, the approval, is to actually create the whole new military branch with like financial management, facilities, and constructing the buildings and things like that. But they've gotten everything else sort of all ready to go and lined up, and they're supposed to submit an official report laying out the groundwork of what it would look like. It's actually due to Congress like this week. So it's really moving forward. It's something that's really, they're wanting to happen. We just have to wait and see if it's something that actually gets approved.
Wow.
So very cool. I mean, he was serious about the Space Force.
That's I can't wait to see the insignia.
No, I know.
And all the stuff and the recruitment videos. Is it always going to be people from other branches, or is it going to be something where you can actually sign up?
I would feel like you'd be able to sign up just like any other branch of the military.
You have to be really good at like math and stuff for Air Force, right? Can you imagine Space Force, like when you have to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'd have to be very good at it.
I want to live in the world of The Last Starfighter.
Like, it seems like that's where it's heading.
Speaking of video games, that was when I was a kid. I truly believed that the government. This is so funny knowing me now.
Right.
Oh my God, it's been my whole life, hasn't it? I remember being a kid and thinking the government was monitoring how well I was doing at playing like Astro Smash.
I mean, you probably weren't too far off.
And just to see if we, like they would make games just to see how well you handled it. And then when Call of Duty first came out, I remember thinking the same thing. Like I bet that they watch and see who
they're going to recruit you to the military.
Yeah. And it's just funny that's crazy. Maybe Space Force the game can pick and see who's
really ready.
Yeah, who's ready for it.
Yep. All right, so let's go on to this next story. Speaking of space, now this is one that you do know about. This is a story about the video about that the amateur astronomer took, the one from Texas, of some kind of strange object supposedly flying behind Jupiter.
Yes.
And this is a crazy video, and you can find it on a YouTube channel for Mr. MBB333, and he actually shows the video several times. He puts a lot of different filters on it, zooms in, slows it down so you can really get a good look at what's happening. And it's really, really strange. There's no explanation for it.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It really looks like something is flying very quickly and that it passes behind Jupiter. And the way the relationship between Jupiter and whatever this object is, it would be very huge. It would be massive.
Yeah, I mean, it goes right behind it, and you could tell it's behind the planet, and the size of it would be mini Earths. That's the terrifying part, because you guys remember like science class and a picture of Jupiter with Earth on it, and it looks like a little like pimple.
Right.
This thing was huge. This thing also was oblong. And much like the mysterious
interstellar object.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he makes that comparison, or he just suggests that perhaps it's some kind of asteroid or something like that, but it was moving very quickly and it was really strange. And like I said, it was caught by just an amateur astronomer, somebody that's used to actually videoing the sky, and thought it was very strange.
Yeah, you could tell the difference in a bug.
Right.
This was not a bug. This was something that's no moon. This was
too big to be a moon.
This was something out there that's terrifying. I mean, whatever it was, it looks real. Okay, like there's no part of me at all that thinks this was tampered with. No. So that leaves it to be misidentified, such as a bug,
right,
or interstellar object. Okay. Because that's what it looked like. I mean, or something we have no idea about that is bigger than Earth.
Yes.
Okay. And the crazy thing with that is she looks at this stuff every night as an amateur astronomer, so maybe she misidentified this, but I would invite everyone to go there, especially if you're into astronomy and you do know these things, or you have your cousin that your parents like better than you because they, went and got the extra degrees and stuff.
Right.
And they're actually like a meteorologist or into, work for NASA. Show it to them.
Yeah, ask them what they think.
Yeah, call Trevor and ask Trevor about it. So
yes, and I'll put a link up for the video on that particular YouTube channel. And while you're there, if you look around, you'd probably find some other videos that you want to watch, because he has some really cool stuff over there. All right, so let's move on. So this is a story. This is a very recent story. It's an article that asks what's behind the claims of reports about a rash of missing persons in Iowa.
Yes.
So, there has been a lot of recent reports about a missing girl named Molly Tibbetts.
Yes.
She's from Iowa.
Very sad.
And it's become a very big story. A lot of people paying attention. And since that story's come out, there have been concerns about the number of juveniles that have been reported missing in Iowa in recent weeks.
Yeah.
Now, this article, when you read it, it does give you the numbers, but they're saying, the officials that interviewed for this article are saying that this is not an unusual number for the area, that the number of juveniles that are missing is actually very normal, which I find a little strange.
Yeah, it's like Dairy Maine.
Right.
I mean, seriously, it's just like I just expect Pennywise to show up at any time.
Well, it says in this article that in 2017, 4,311 juveniles were reported missing in Iowa, which is about 12 a day. 12 a day.
By comparison to your 12 a day, in the state of Maine, where we're at now,
right,
they get dozens a month. of reported missing. Okay.
Right.
So that's a stark difference. So let's just say 24 a month in a huge state of Maine.
Right.
That also is mostly like terrifying forest where people go out on hikes and a lot of camping and a lot of water play, places you would imagine people get pulled under current. You could explain it a little better than cornfields.
Right.
And so that's a big difference.
It is. And they were speaking to a spokesperson from the Department of Public Safety.
Less than one a day in this one.
Yes, exactly. And she said that one of the reasons why the number was so high is because the entries on this particular list are done by incident and not by individual. So in other words, if you have a kid that runs away a lot, like say 4 times, then they would show up 4 times in the numbers, is what she's saying.
Right.
And supposedly most of these missing kids are found within 24 hours and returned home. So, they have an explanation for why these juveniles numbers are so high, and it could be. Yeah. But it's just something they said that people are noticing now because of the national attention from this one case. But it is strange. It's not something that any other state has. People go missing from other states and there's national attention and you don't get this kind of numbers or weirdness.
Unfortunately, there's not national attention on every single kid that goes missing like there should be.
This is true.
And, there should almost be just nothing but a 24-hour news network that's only the missing children that are missing and exploited children. We've got a little bit off the paranormal beat.
Yes.
But with human trafficking, with this kind of thing that's going on in our country today, in our country, not it's not just somewhere else. They're going missing here. There's terrible, horrible, unthinkable things that are occurring. So we'll leave it at that because we like to keep the show as light as possible. That was just a strange story. It's a little bit strange.
It's a little bit strange.
And we just thought we'd throw it out there.
Yeah, because, not always, the explanation's not always what it is.
Right.
Especially when it's coming from the government. So
exactly. Well, we just looked at how much Maine, got 1 a day or less than 1 a day. And you're looking at 24 a day.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so let's go on to this next story. This one's really strange. So this is about worms that have been frozen in permafrost for up to 42,000 years have come back to life in a petri dish.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? So they're saying that these nematodes, which are just, worms, are moving and eating again for the first time since the Pleistocene age. Which is a very long time, 42,000 years. And they had like about 300 of these prehistoric worms and they analyzed them, but only 2 out of that 300 were shown to contain, the viable cells or whatever to actually come back, and they unfrosted them and they came back to life and they were eating and moving just like they would have done 42,000 years ago. Yeah. Which is really interesting. It does say in here where they came from. They came from different areas. One worm came from an ancient squirrel burrow in the permafrost, and this is like in Siberia, in Russia. And these are Russian scientists. And another one was found.
So they're Russian zombie worms.
Yeah, exactly. They're not exactly zombie worms, but yes. And there was another one found near the Alazia River, and it was actually found back in 2015, and they're just now, getting to study it. But in the laboratory at the Institute of Physico-Chemical and Biological Problems of Soil Science, it's in Moscow, they did this study, and they were absolutely amazed that these multicellular organisms were able to survive such a long time in that cryo state, and that it really helps them learn a lot more about, the ability to use that kind of technology, any kind of cryo technology. Well, one thing that I think should be pointed out is, the reason that they're finding these prehistoric things, the permafrost is melting. Yeah. And I think there was even a documentary years ago, like PBS or something, that was talking about, the problems, in the future, that the problems we may have if things that have been frozen for thousands and thousands of years start thawing out. Yeah. And this obviously proves that those things could possibly come back to life. And, what's that going to do to our
ecosystem.
The creatures that we have now that aren't used to having those things around. I mean, I know these are just worms, but
it's exciting to me.
It is, and it was. I mean, they're very excited. It's a great breakthrough. I'm sure they're going to learn a lot from it, but it's really strange.
It is strange. I mean, that's 40,000-year-old worm.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry.
That have been frozen.
I'd like to go fishing with it though. Just to see.
All right, well, let's move on to a school that was shut down.
Oh, because of possession?
Of a ghost.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a possession thing.
Yeah.
They say ghost. So this takes place in India, and it was at a residential school for girls.
Right.
So sort of like a boarding school type thing.
Yeah.
And there's about 200 what they call inmates of the school hostel.
Oh, that's a weird name for it.
I think it's just the translation of the article, possibly.
Right.
I think it's kind of funny they call school children inmates, but anyway, about 200, and they actually left the school and went home. All of them. And it also says, I love this in this article, it says the authorities are in a spot of bother as the fear has led to the shutdown of the school. And so they've actually come together, ask the parents to come back to the school so that they can talk to them and possibly figure out what they can do going forward so that the school doesn't have to remain closed. So what had happened was that 4 children displayed unusual behavior, and they developed nausea, they fell unconscious, and they started acting hysteric and shouting at the top of their voices. And some people even said that they started showing abnormal, like behaviors all the time, things like that. And so the news spread, and the parents just rushed to the school, and started taking their children home and just insisting that ghosts had cast evil spirits had gotten to these children. And so they took the children, they had them medically examined, and they're all fine.
Right.
There's no medical reason why they should have any kind of...
Which makes it leans more toward paranormal.
Any kind of illness or anything like that. They say that possibly it was one of like a hysterical, group hysteria thing, possibly. But that the school authorities are planning to organize specific religious rituals, to make the parents feel more comfortable going forward so that the students can come back and the school can reopen.
Yeah, well, it seems to happen a lot, doesn't it?
It does. It's
every
very
couple of
strange.
weeks. That's still a possession one. They're calling it ghost, but
yeah, but it's like ghost.
Every
possession.
couple of weeks, we have one of these.
Yeah. It's like the ghosts get bored there, and they're like, "What can we do?"
It's very strange. India, Africa, weird places,
Philippines, stuff like that.
It's never the same place. So it doesn't matter. It's happening worldwide. It's very strange.
It is.
I mean, I think that our kids here do it. And they just don't understand that, like, we as parents don't realize that you're doing it.
Well, there's not the same kind of superstitious beliefs like there are in other places. And, we're more apt to just, drug the kids and make them feel better than think that it's something supernatural.
Hail Satan.
Oh, it's time for somebody's Klonopin.
All right, well, let's move on.
Mommy gets 2, baby gets 1.
All right, so this I just thought was an interesting story, just a real quick one, because it's from East Tennessee.
Oh.
And it's about loud booms, mysterious loud booms in the East Tennessee region. They probably didn't know how to spell mysterious.
It's about loud booms.
They said loud, mysterious booms. And they were reported in Maryville, but they've also been reported in Lenoir City, Sevierville, and Dandridge. So over a big area. And they spoke to the news place that did this article. I'll let you watch the video. I'll link to it. Actually spoke to a geologist from UT, and
well, we know it wasn't because somebody scored a touchdown in Neyland Stadium.
Oh, this is probably true. They made calls to the Air National Guard Base, the National Weather Service, the Department of Environment and Conservation, everywhere they could think of, and nobody had any idea what they were and didn't claim that they had done them. So. Wow. Still mysterious, and they were very loud.
So it's a mysterious boom, and it's right there at the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, very loud enough that a lot of people called the news station. It was disturbing enough that a lot of people reported it and caused them to try and investigate it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like I said, national parks, Smoky Mountains. We're coming back. They're getting. Oh God, we got to move this stuff. Mysterious booms.
All right, so let's move on. And this is about a new radio telescope in Canada called CHIME, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment.
Why does that sound like a social media? It's like, join us on CHIME. Tired of Twitter, Facebook, got your personal information? Join us with CHIME.
It's a nice name. At least they didn't call it the really, really big telescope.
I like CHIME. Like I'm really promoting this.
You're really digging on it.
Come on, wouldn't you get on CHIME?
Yeah, I would.
What are you doing? I'm chiming.
So it's in British Columbia, and it actually detected the first ever FRB at frequencies below 700 megahertz.
Ooh, that's new.
Yes, so it's a new...
So the FRB, the fast radio burst.
Yes, which we've discovered quite a few of, but nobody has any idea what they are.
So basically, in a nutshell, guys, who may be just jumping in, an FRB is a fast radio burst, which is a radio burst we're picking up, a frequency we're picking up from outer space.
Right.
And deep interstellar space, correct?
Yes, I believe so. And they don't really know where they come from. There's a lot of theories, but they really have no idea what causes the fast radio burst.
So this one is the closest one we found, or
it's actually the first one that's the lowest frequency.
Oh, okay.
And so the reason they've reported this, I mean, it wasn't spectacular in any other way, but the reason they're reporting it is because they want other astronomers to widen their search for fast radio bursts, because nobody was even listening below a certain level because they didn't think that they were going to find them. And this proves that they do happen at that lower megahertz. And, you know, CHIME's only been operating for less than a year. It's actually designed to gather things like this, unanswered questions, fast radio bursts, things like that. And so here they are already detecting one very low. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Wow. Yep. You know what you call messages on my social media app, Chime?
What?
Chime ins. I'll have a little chime in thing at the top. Be like, oh, hold on a second, I got to chime in with her.
This that actually is pretty catchy. This you have an app too.
Well, it's got to be an app. I'm talking about it being an app.
Oh, I see.
Like Twitter or something like that.
Like Snapchat kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna mix a bunch of them together. That's really cool.
Yes. Well, this announcement.
I think everybody should start off naked. Like that's the rule. Make it for adults. The rule is you start off, and your profile picture is either your tatas or your wang. And that's just your profile picture, right? So then you obviously have got that out of the way,
right? And
it can get to meaningful conversation instead of all this BS conversation. People pretending to like each other, people pretending to be interested in things, and you know, like guys for weeks pretending that they actually care about the struggles this girl's going through. Right off the bat, they're getting the tatas, so they can actually, you'll find out, they weed people out really quickly, because the guy, if the guy starts talking to you, be like, so, what do you like to eat? You know, what do you like to what? It's a keeper. It's a keeper because they're already out there.
I see. I think you've just dramatically diminished the amount of people that probably want to use your service now.
I am just trying to make the world an easier place.
You could introduce rules like no filters.
Here's the thing, sister.
Right.
All right. I like real talk. Real honest talk.
Right.
And people play games all the time. They play games, but underneath all these layers of people, they're the same.
Right.
Down at their core, down at the bottom, down at their primal needs and primal beliefs.
Right.
There's a lot of the same going on.
Right.
And I'm just saying that it would be cool to cut the BS. You know, to not have to do the BS, to not have to just start off and like you see the worst of somebody. Right off the bat. Like, and that's how you see it. Now, you don't have to know that somebody's, you don't have to know this person. But if this person chooses to know you, you already know they know the worst. I mean, every bad habit you have, if it's listed out there, like I occasionally pick my nose at red lights. Okay. I look at my earwax.
I'm clingy.
Yeah. I'm clingy. I'm going to be very paranoid about you having friends. It's, I may try to hack your phone and check your messages. If you had all that listed there, right? Every bit of it, that like, I'm really into the paranormal, that kind of thing. Right. So if you had all that listed out there and somebody still comes to you,
They're a keeper.
Yeah, they're a keeper. I don't think there's a dating app out there like that. Everybody's always like making, made out.
It's like the undating app is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, seriously. It really is. I mean, it's, I know it sounds kind of whack-a-mole, but
right.
You would really kind of know, like right off the bat, like this person really digs me. That's cool.
Oh, wow. You come up with some pretty interesting ideas.
Yeah, they'll never come to light because of the lawsuits and the suicides. But, can you imagine being the one that uploads and still nobody says anything to you? It's like 4 months in, all your friends have hooked up. Like, oh, that chime, it really worked. And,
Oh, wow.
I'll say, okay, so you've talked me out of it. I'm going to make Chime a paranormal app.
Okay.
And we'll all just be on, everybody listening to this will be on the inside joke of it.
Okay.
And we'll just make it where you chime in about paranormal activity that's happened to you.
There you go. It's just a chime in app. We just put your opinions in there.
Chime in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is all on this article. It does mention in here that the announcement about this also notes that they have, in the past week, they found some at frequencies as low as 400 megahertz, and early indications suggest that they're not coming from Earth, but I think those are very new discoveries and they haven't really had a chance to study those yet. So
a good chance it could still be coming from the hollow Earth.
Yes, it could be. You never know. All right, so let's move on. And this is just an interesting story about some scientists that have been revising the Rio scale for reported alien encounters.
Like her name is Rio and she dances on the sand?
Exactly.
I love the Rio scale.
No. So this is a team of international researchers that have been led by scientists from the University of St. Andrews and the SETI Institute in California. And there's this Rio scale. It's an alien detection scale. Basically, it sort of takes factors into account and suggests how excited the public should be about a particular possible alien communication event.
Right.
That sort of thing. And I didn't really know anything about the Rio scale. It's not something I use or really looked into, but as I was reading this article, I noticed that there's an online Rio scale calculator. And so I'll link to it. It's kind of cool. You can go and it'll ask you like 4 different questions. It'll ask you, the class of the phenomena, like, where it's coming from, how close, who discovered it, how reliable that person is. Like, was it from SETI or was it from, Grandpa Joe down the street, that kind of thing, and about how far away it was. And then it'll give you this number, and there's 10 numbers. There's 11 levels on the scale. It goes from 0 to 10, 10 being extraordinary and 0 being none, like it's not worth it.
Let's go through these.
Okay.
Let's see. So 0, as you said, is none. 1 is insignificant.
Yes.
2 is low. 3 is minor. 4 is moderate. 5 is intermediate. 6 is noteworthy. 7 is high.
Right.
8 is far-reaching. 9 is outstanding. And 10 is extraordinary. So this reminds me of Harry Potter and the way they're graded.
Right.
Like on the OWLs. And
yes. It seems like a lot of levels to me. But the funny thing about it is this is not changing. This particular grading scale is not changing. What's changing is the way they arrive at the number. They're using a whole new mathematical equation.
New grading system.
Yes, a new way. Instead of answering those 4 particular questions, there's like a whole new mathematical formula that they want to use so that it's a little more specific and a little more easier to use and more generalized, for today's social media and stuff like that. Right. And so the co-founder of the SETI Institute talked in this article and said that, that they redid it. They've written this paper about it. I'll link to it. You can go and look at all the math if you're interested in that, and that they just had to submit it to the International Academy of Astronautics Permanent Committee on SETI to make it official. So should it be official, then you will have Rio Scale 2.0 and a new way to grade the things. And there will still be an online calculator.
Sounds to me like somebody in the Rio department, they were like, somebody's like, somebody at the top of SETI or something's like, hey, Bob, what about those guys down in the Rio wing? Oh, my God. How I forgot about them. Let's call them up, It's like, what is that? I don't know, man. I'm so freaking high. Are you still playing golf? I don't know what that noise is. I think it's a phone, man. Do you really think? What would they be asking us? We already wrote Rio. I don't know, man. Maybe they're calling for Duran Duran again. Hello? Yeah, this is Hal up in the office. So you guys are still down there? Yeah, man. Since 1982. Rio was number 4 on the top 40. We thought it'd be cool to call it the Rio scale. We're gonna have to cancel you guys. I mean, we get enough backlash from what we actually do here. A lot of people just think that we're in a trailer and we, have sex with each other, hit bongs, and play golf. So we need to do something about this, please. Yeah. How about Rio Part 2? Well, we're gonna rewrite how we grade it. No, yeah, all right, fine. We'll send you $1 million. I mean, that's just how I picture it.
In your cartoon world.
Well, I mean, why the hell do we need that?
Well, it's something for people that listen for communications from aliens.
Yeah, you know what? Here's your levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's nothing happening.
That's 0. There's nothing.
Nothing happening. And the other level. Oh my God! Holy shit! I can't believe it! Finally! Oh my God! Look, all of them. They're all working. Every one of them's working. Oh my God! There's a UFO. Oh, there's a UFO making contact with us. There's it. It's doing it. It's doing it. Call the president. Call the fire department. Call my mom. Holy cow! So that's the 2 levels.
Right.
And I don't see a reason to have any other. Because what's going to happen when a UFO makes contact with those nerds sitting in that trailer is they're going to freak out, man. They're going to freak out. And you're not going to need any little system, because you know what they're going to remember about that?
What's that?
Not a goddamn thing. What's going to happen is that UFO is going to communicate with them and be like, and it's going to sound like like I always talk about, the little thing on the planet of Hoth, because everything sounds like that droid,
right?
That they send out to search for life forms, and that's going to happen. And we don't have Chewie and Han to like confuse it and blow it away, so it's going to know we're here. We're going to get eaten by the overlords, and anyway. 2 levels. That's all you need.
2 levels. Gotcha.
Nothing happening, and holy crap.
All right. Well, let's move on then, shall we? No math involved, right? All right. So this is a story from...
It's got to simplify things.
Detroit. You do.
Here I am.
I don't think you get funding for that, though.
Here I am. Here are my faults. Chime in.
So this is from Melvindale, Michigan. And
Melvindale?
Yes. A mysterious substance has been found coming out of the ground in Melvindale, and nobody can seem to figure out where it's coming from.
Here's the first rule of thumb. If you live in Michigan and there's something coming out of the ground,
right?
Run. Okay? Just run. Michigan's a weird place anyway.
Even the headline calls it a Ghostbusters-like substance, because it's some kind of weird material bubbling out of the ground.
Are they talking like bad to it and see if it like gets bigger?
People are getting. How would you be able to tell people were getting angrier?
I mean, they already live in Michigan, so.
Well, supposedly residents downriver are wondering if this material bubbling out of the ground near the Marathon refinery is maybe something from the refinery.
Yeah, fake.
You think, yeah. Of course, the refinery says absolutely not.
Officials in Flint, Michigan say there's no way there's been anything corruptive in the ground.
Well, the funny thing is it happened once, and road crews came through and just cleaned it up, and nobody said anything. But then it happened again, and they were like, oh, we should probably investigate that, since there's some weird bubbling substance oozing out of the ground that nobody knows what it is. So they're still taking samples of it, sent it for testing. Someone finally notified the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, and hopefully they can figure out
I bet that guy was happy to get out of Flint. Like, we got an assignment for you, smothers.
It's some kind of smelly, foamy mess. There's actually a video of it, and they describe it as oozing out of the ground.
That's disgusting.
It is. And I feel
that's like Lansing and Boyle.
I feel like it has to be something from this Marathon refinery, and like because it's been raining a lot and stuff, but I think that they claim it's definitely not them. So
it's just in. Suicides are up at Marathon Refinery.
All right, so we have one more story.
Okay.
This one is a story about a video that you have to go watch. It's very crazy. So it's about a weird, quote, monster captured on film.
A quote monster? That's the worst kind of monster.
I'm quoting because we don't know that it's a monster. Captured on film, stalking a moose in the Canadian wilderness.
Oh.
So here's the video.
Wait. This thing's stalking a moose?
Well, that's what the headline says. Now, when you watch the video, what you see is someone's taking a video from their car of a moose on the side of the road, which, we would do.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
Now.
And off to the left, this strange thing comes into frame, and it's moving very awkwardly, and it looks kind of like a person with no face, and it's, it's very strange. And you can see it very clearly on the video, and it moves over and goes up and down. And now the moose doesn't seem to know that anything's there. It's not alarmed, it doesn't look, it doesn't move in any way. But it's this strange little anomaly on the video. And so it was uploaded to YouTube and, viewed a bunch of times. And she said, I just looked at this video. I didn't notice when I was taking it, but I saw this strange shape and I have no idea what it is. So I watched the video a few times and it is really strange. I have a tendency to think that it's some kind of reflection on the windshield because she's on the inside of her car, but I don't know. It doesn't move in conjunction with her camera movements. Mm-hmm. Like it's not her doing it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's something you have to watch. Have you watched this video? Have you seen it?
I have not.
Well, you'll have to watch it and then let us know what you think.
But they think it's a faceless creature that stalks mooses.
Yes, some kind of faceless creature. Of course, people put all their 2 cents in and what creature they think it is. To me,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, if I'm a faceless creature, why do I need to kill game? Where am I going to put it?
Maybe it eats out of its stomach.
Oh God, I was going for butt.
I know you were, but I changed it last second.
I was really wanting to think about it munching down with his butt.
Well, I'll tell you the reason I went for reflection is because the area where this supposed face would be is kind of square shaped, and it looks like it has these 2 arms kind of hanging down. So if there was somebody else in the car with her with a phone recording the moose, there is the possibility that phone in the hands would be reflecting. But then again, I don't know.
No, I mean, you and I do a lot of vlogging and stuff from the car out in the middle of the night in the Canadian wilderness looking for moose, and we're looking for Bigfoot, but coming across moose. And we know a lot of those little things that happen. So I get what you're saying. You can you can literally put yourself in that situation.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, we have been out looking for lore and legends and going back on the video and seeing stuff that we didn't see live.
Exactly.
Such as a strange light like a UFO at the end of the road that we were on.
Right.
So if anybody goes back and watches the one on a bridge, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's one of the till deaths.
Right.
It's just interesting stuff. But hey, cool story.
Yeah, it was very cool and definitely something you need to go and watch.
All right. Well, that's a little bit of everything. This is some good stuff. I mean, I didn't actually lose my mind except twice. So I mean,
okay. I think we can handle that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I won't postpone any time here because we got to get to packing.
We do. Got to pack up this stuff.
Yeah, literally.
I'm literally going to put this stuff in boxes as soon as we're done.
The second we're done. So, we just wanted to get this out for you guys. Poor Stacey is going to be editing throughout the night tonight because we really want to get this out for you guys. Well, we love all you guys so much, and we're going to get this out, get this up, and it'll be probably a week and a half, I'm guessing. Please. Positive energy here, guys.
Yes.
To get us down there and get us where we need to be. And once again, ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to go find out everything groovy. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. Groove away. On Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. Hey guys, you know what? Actually go to Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow and hit like. That one's kind of bugging me. Not for you guys, but just the fact that we've had the Haunted South Facebook and we had the Third Side Facebook, and I'd really like to get the Facebook likes up. So let's just focus our energies this week. I'm not going to give the rest of them right now. The only other 2 addresses I'm going to give is on Patreon. If you want to be a patron, a lot of cool levels there to choose from. Patreon.com/Paranormal Sideshow. And on Chime In, it's This Is Us at chimeinfo.com.
I hope that's not really a real website. We should check that out first.
It's probably something. You know what? For my luck, it's something for the Catholic Church or something. They'll be like, I can't believe you were talking about Chime In. I mean, really. How low can you actually sink?
We've been getting all kinds of paranormal messages. This is a church.
Paranormal messages is not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about, Martha from Indiana going, here's me. And these are my faults. Sometimes I have weird goo come out, shoot out of my left eye. We haven't figured it out yet, but it killed the cat. And little bastard got to it before we could stop him from looking it up, but I guess it kind of serves him right. He kind of looked up at me at his last second, right before his last breath. He knew. So I think that tells me something. I don't know, but this is me. So anyway, we'll get more stories for you just like that. And oh my God, will we have stories from the drive down?
Yes, we will.
So we got an adventure coming, and we're going to try to actually stop at some paranormal places on the way down. So it'll be a little bit of fun. We like to throw fun in with our crazy and adventures, So for my lovely wife Stacey, my name is John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.
Hey guys, if you like what you've heard, please check out ParanormalSideshow.com and follow the links for our weekly podcast. Also, become a sideshow off yourself and pick one of our killer levels on our Patreon to help support the channel and help keep us bringing you bigger and better content. So until next week, for my lovely wife Stacey, I'm John Edwards. So long and
stay strange.